I've received lots of requests from my students and my YouTube viewers on how to create an email that contains an HTML table. So today we are going to get into it. It's not complex as long as you know how to work with expressions. So let's put the simple scenario together and do it. In this video, I want to show you how to create a table like this and send it by email. And this email should come from Power Automate. To make it a little bit more interesting, I want to get all that information from a list inside SharePoint. So there is a list inside SharePoint that has all these values, and we want to extract these values using Power Automate and send it by email in a table. Sounds interesting? Then let's do it. But before we get there, for all my students who have taken my Power Automate Expressions in 2 Hours course on Udemy, this shouldn't be much. Probably you may have only one action as something new that converts JSON to HTML table. Everything else you should teach me, not me teaching you. So although I know you know most of this, you may want to bear with me to the end of this. So buckle up, everybody, because we want to get into a little bit of expression writing. This is our approach. We want to get items from a SharePoint list using getItems, something that everybody knows. Convert the items to a simplified JSON format using select. So basically, we get a complex JSON from here and convert it to something that matches this table. Then we use the create HTML table action to convert our JSON file to an HTML table, and finally we send it by email. Before we do anything, let's go to SharePoint and see our list. Inside my SharePoint site, you see I have a list called PRD01. If I click on this, you will see the list of items inside it. So I have title, category, unit price, and ID. I'm using this list because category is actually a lookup field from another table. And I just decided to use this list to add a little bit of more complexity to cover all the scenarios and see how useful the expressions can be when you're working with Power Automate. So we want to convert this to a table inside an email. Let's get to Flow and start the work. So just like before, I go to flow.microsoft.com and I click on Create. I want to create a simple flow using a button. So instant flow, and I want to call it HTML email table demo. And I click on manually trigger a flow, and I click on create. So basically a flow that when someone clicks on a button, it starts to work. First step was supposed to be get items from a SharePoint list using getItems. So we go back to Flow and I click on New Step and I use SharePoint. Click on SharePoint and I use getItems. I click on getItems and this getItems should get the list items from the PRD01. Just like before, I pick up the URL of the site. I go back to Flow and I click on the drop down. Even if it is there, I want to click on the custom value and I just want to copy and paste the URL of the site here. Then it's time to pick up the list that I want to get the values from. So I click on the drop down list and the list that I have is PRD01. Remember, PRD01 is the list that I'm working with. I just picked up the site address and the list name. Did we get everything? Let me just save it and make sure that the first step is successful. So I click on test and I test it. Save and test. I click on confirm, run flow, done, and let's see the output of this getItems. If I expand it and I scroll down, you will see the body has a value And this value is an array of all the list items in JSON. But it's a little bit complex because it contains everything. Because I need to get back and work with this JSON structure in my expressions, I'd rather get a copy of it, and I want to put it somewhere in a notepad file. Notepad, and I just paste the list here, and we can examine it here easily. Let me just go to the top of the page. So this is a JSON object. It has one property called the value, and inside this value, I have an array that every single element is actually a list item. So we have the ID, we have the title, we have category, which is a little bit complex. We just need the values of it to put it in the email. And we also have the unit price. Perfect. I just keep it the way it is. So we are done with the first task, which is get items from a SharePoint list using get items. Let's go to the next step, which is convert items to a simplified JSON format using select. As you can see, we have a complex JSON here with lots of unnecessary content that is not going to help us when we are going to create a table. We need to match the JSON file with the table structure. To do that, we use the select action. Let me get back to Power Automate. I click on Edit, and the next step is using select. Select is one of the data operation actions. So if I click on data operations, you will find select here. There are a few of them that in my expression course, I've covered all of them. Here, I'm using the select. Select is very simple. Select actually accepts a complex JSON and converts it into another JSON format. It doesn't mean the output is going to be simpler. It can be more complex. It can be simpler. At the moment, we just want to simplify, and we want to extract only the values that we need from the get items. So remember this one. We need the value of this output. So let me get back here, and under get items, I go to select, and from the get items, if I scroll down, I will find the value. If I click on the value, all this JSON content from here, which is basically a JSON array, comes to this action. From now on, my job is to construct a new JSON object. And this JSON object should have my title as the first element, which will eventually make my table column. This title should come from this value. If I want to get the title of the value, I need to go to the expression and I use the function item. Item is a Power Automate expression that when I'm dealing with the array, item returns the current item of the array that I'm working with. So for the first item that I'm processing, it's going to look into my floppy disk with the ID 3. So I have this item. Now I need the title of this item. The field that I need from here is title. Copy. I just paste it here. So item dot title. And I click on OK. I have the title here. Second one, I go back again there and I see what I need to add. For the second one, let's add the ID here too. So I go to the ID, and here I go to the expression and I say again item, opening and closing bracket, ID. And again, I click on OK. We still can add more, but just for now, let me test this and make sure I'm getting what I'm asking for. So I click on test, save and test. I perform the action again and I click on done. Job is done. So here again, get item has this complex array, but select has this simplified output. So I have title and I have ID. Great. I just need to add a little bit more information and we are all good. So let me click on edit. The other field that I need is going to be category. Category is a little bit more complex. Let's see how we do it. So I say category, and here again I go to the expression, I get the item. Now category is not a direct value, so if I come here under value, I have category dot value. I don't need the category and the content inside it as an object. I need the specific property of this category called value. So what I need here is going to be item dot category dot value. Sounds good? Let's click on OK, save, and examine it one more time, because this is where we are supposed to make mistakes. I hope not. So done. If I click on select, now the output contains title, ID, and category. Fantastic. I got what I wanted. Do we need anything else? Sure. We also need the unit price, which looks like this here, but we can simplify it and make it a little bit better on our flow. So instead of that weird headline, I can say unit price. And because it's a JSON property, I can even have a space in it, so it looks really good when I convert it to a table. I click on here, and for this one, I click on expression, I say item, bracket, dot, and I put that weird field called unit price with this space that is converted to this code. I click on OK, and we're all good. Is there anything else I want to bring in? If I want to do, no problem. I can simply pick up, for example, even if I want the author, I can put the display name here. You want to do that? Let's do it. Let's say created by, and for this one, again, I go to expression. I'm writing item dot. You remember the field name? Author, copy and paste exactly as is, dot. And under author, I want display name. So I pick this one, and I copy and paste it here. So for the item, for the created by, I have item.author.displayName. I click on OK again, and I click on Save. Fantastic. So we got all the items in a complex JSON, and we converted to a flat, simplified JSON array that I can directly convert it into an HTML table. Let's test it and make sure it works as expected. Done. If I expand the select, you will see I have everything here. Title, ID, category, unit price, and created by. We are done with converting items to a simplified JSON format using select. Now we need to convert this JSON to an HTML table using create HTML table. So, new step, create HTML table. Let's scroll down. Create HTML table is another data operation. I click on it, and under create HTML table, I get the content from this select, because select creates my simplified JSON object. And this JSON object is an array. So basically, when I pass an array of objects in JSON to create HTML table action, it returns a table for me. So let me get the output from select. You want to test it now? Let's test it. Save and test. Run flow. Done. And now this one receives this JSON and returns this table. Isn't that beautiful? And I think there is not much to say. You just need to add this newly created HTML table to an email body and send it. So I click on New Step to send my email, and I select Send Email. Scroll down, send an email, and I want to send it to myself. You can send it to whoever you want. Subject is going to be list of products in a bracket PRD01. And body, you can add any header that you want. Hello. This is the product list you asked for. And right under it, I can add the output from create HTML table. Let me click on output. I click on save. And this is the very last step of this process. Let's test it. Save, test, save and test. And I click on continue, run flow. Done. Now let's go to my mailbox and see the result. And here is a list of products in my mailbox. And that was all about it. If you've already taken my course about Power Automate expressions, I want to know your feedback, and I want to see how close you could get to this scenario after finishing that course. Regardless, thank you for watching, and stay tuned till the next video.